Brilliance Audio presents How to Heal Yourself from Anxiety When No One Else Can by Amy B. Scher, performed by the author. This audiobook includes a PDF of the images and exercises that accompanied the print edition. If you have purchased an audio CD version, look for the PDF on a separate disc. It appears as an additional file if you have purchased an MP3 CD or MP3 download version. My approach to working with anxiety was born from my own experience of suffering from it and then healing myself. In this chapter, I will share with you my personal story of living with anxiety and my discoveries about the body's energy system and how it can be accessed for true healing. I will also introduce you to my self-created approach to healing anxiety, which has now helped people heal when nothing else has worked. My own success story with energy therapy. I was a happy, creative, outgoing kid who grew up in a family that fostered love, self-expression, and security. But I also had another side of me that was in deep contrast to that. It felt like I was always worried on the inside. I worried about things that other kids never seemed to give a thought to, like having to be away from my parents all day at school, failing a test, upsetting people, making a mistake, getting in a car accident, my mom and dad dying, and just about anything else you could think of. Beneath my happy-go-lucky little girl self, I had a persistent feeling of being on edge, always feeling like something bad was happening or going to happen. I felt like I was responsible for everything and everyone around me. I was 10 years old when my grandfather died, and then my dad almost simultaneously began to struggle with depression. But I never shared with anyone how that truly affected me. In fact, it had always been my natural pattern to keep my emotions tucked very deep inside. I didn't want to rock the boat or upset anyone. Instead, I strived to be the person who could handle anything. And a lot of the time, I was actually that person. The problem was that I rarely allowed myself to fall apart, even when I really needed to. It was in the years following my grandpa dying and my dad getting sick that things really started to shake me. I started missing school a lot and getting sick all the time, and I felt anxious for no apparent reason. I saw many different types of doctors and therapists to help with it all, and eventually was put on various antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. By the time I graduated high school, I was coping with the anxiety, but only with medications, and the anxiety was still always there at some level. In 2007, after being near death due to a mysterious illness that had been plaguing me for years, I was finally diagnosed with chronic or late-stage Lyme disease. This diagnosis only magnified the fears about life that I already had. The world is unsafe. Something bad will happen. People get sick and die. It was during this stretch of time that I started to realize how much my pattern of emotional suppression was really affecting me. Anxiety had always been a big problem in my life, but being so physically sick made it impossible to run away from it for the first time ever. Through my healing journey from chronic illness, I came to understand that anxiety had played an instrumental part in the manifestation of physical illness for me. Anxiety had been taking a toll on my body for years before any physical issues developed. I always believed that anxiety was something that came out of nowhere and couldn't be controlled, and that I would have to deal with it forever. And my perspective on anxiety only fueled my original fear of being unsafe. It was only when I turned inward to address the emotional issues that had been plaguing me for much of my life that everything began to change and improve for me. It was in following this path that I discovered a shocking truth about anxiety. Anxiety is not a condition in and of itself, but rather is a side effect of a dangerously unhealthy pattern that many humans, like myself, learn to perfect: suppressing emotions.